Good evening, and thank you for coming out to our Monday, February 26th, 2024 school board meeting. Call to order at 6:16. Roll call vote, please.
Laster,
Present.
Piles present, Kennard,
Here.
Darcel, Davis,
Excused.
McCarthy,
Excused, you'll be late.
Evans, Wester.
Present.
We have quorum.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Be it resolved that the Board of Education accepts the February 26, 2024 meeting agenda as presented.
Support.
We have a motion by Wester, supported by Piles. Roll call vote.
Piles, yes. Kennard. Yes. Laster.
Yes.
Wester.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Public comment?
Are there any other public comment forms? Seeing none, Arita Hampton.
Good evening. And I was going through my notes. Had illness, so I was going through my notes. I remember this taken on, and I'll show it if anybody ever wants to see it. Taken July. It was January 28th, 2022, and they took a survey of 200 teachers and public and stakeholders and community members about what they thought of the school board. And I was going through and someone made a word-a-thon with it, a word cloud. Horrible, vindictive, horrible, selfish, dysfunctional. You keep saying, let's move on and read as the cause. I'm the effect. See, you don't have me come in until there's a cause. I just didn't walk down Wayne Road and say, hey, let me stop in on a board member and start always doing a public comment. There's things that happen. My thing is, we're moving into another election in November. I say that you think of the three that are still here. For those who say, oh, she can't be that serious. Yes, I am. All you got to do is watch the board meetings. I do a review, renew, so I'll be aware, so people won't spread out in the community. Rita tells lies, and which I don't, but if that serves their purpose, go right ahead. But I know what you did. And I'll be talking about it as we move along to election. I'll talk about the letter that was written, why Dr. Weatherspoon is good for Romulus. I'll read the letters finally, why one board member attempts to tell why Dr. Edmondson was terminated. As we move along, and I also will readdress, I keep asking, why we don't have public opinions at the end of the meetings, because I don't know why. Nobody answers. Nobody probably will answer. And then I'll call them back to that thing called the shredding. Thank you.
Lisa Denny.
Good evening. The only thing I'm going to say is thank you for Parent Connect. I got the message from Mr. Brenson today about, and we're going to have a problem with it. If we have 800 parents, how many are for the junior high? You're going to have all of them complain of what Mr. Benson said about, he said he sent out, the teachers know it, the kids know it, but parents probably won't know it and they'll be the first ones to complain about it. And I do want to read the last part of it to you guys. You might have already got it, but to the parents, as soon as it comes up, about phones, language, disrespect. If they are caught once, they're going to get suspended one time. If it's a repeat, It's 2 days, and it's gonna go so forth and so forth. And I'm sure parents are going to, because they're not on Parent Connect. I'm sure they're gonna be the first ones to go in there and yell and scream. I'm sorry for the teachers and Mr. Benson at that point. But I want to say thank you for that. And also, Dr. Emerson, thank you. My grandson thanks you. We had a talk about you the other day, and he looks up to you, so I wanted to let you know that. And he says, if Dr. Emerson can remember me since 4th grade, or remember my name after 3 or 4 months of not seeing him, he's a good man. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
I didn't know about that Parent Connect, so I'm glad you told me. So if there's like 8 parents waiting for us tomorrow, we have an idea why. So thank you. Did not know.
I'm sorry, whatever.
Oh, that's okay. I didn't know. Thanks, though.
Next on the agenda, we have our presentations. First, we have the Romulus High School Student Council update.
Yes, I'd like to start. We'll have the 2 students come up. I'll introduce them in a second. We also have Dr. Pachoda, who is the student council, what's the advisor? I couldn't remember that. I figured I would it's not taking a risk, not at all. I've met with student council twice in the last, 3 weeks maybe. Trying to jumpstart, and I don't know what they do at the high school. I just know that I knew what I want to see. I want to see students that come up to our board meeting once a month and give an update. I think we all want to know, how are we doing? Maybe what some of the issues are. I tried to prep them on not what to say, certainly not. I'm not going to tell you what to say. But, they have a voice, and I want to give them an opportunity. So, being that stated, I'll tell you a little bit how this worked. During the break, I got a visitor. 2 visitors came, just happened to stop by, and I was here. And they work for a furniture company, and they just wanted to see if I had a minute to talk. So I did. That's what I do. This is my job. So I sat there and I listened to them, and they were talking to me, and I was like, got an idea. So I asked them, could they do cafeteria furniture, because I've been in a high school, and I think we needed a refresh, for lack of a better term, and some of our other schools too. So I asked them, could they do that? And they said that they could. And I said, before you do that, before I meet with you, I'd like you to meet with me and the student council. So I asked Dr. Pachoda, could I come with this gentleman, and they could present to the kids some furniture ideas and get some ideas on what kids wanted. Because I told the kids, I'm never going to eat in the cafeteria at the high school. I'm pretty sure of that. But they are. And that they should make these decisions and not me, and it shouldn't be the adults that are making these decisions. So I just wanted to give you a little background, and then I'll let them say whatever they need to say. But from the company Verco, we have Mr. Manny Romero that's here. Could you put your hand up? Thank you, sir. So he had accompanied me. I don't know this guy from Adam, truly. He came off the street. But he does work for the company. He does work for the company. So I've engaged with him since. I've engaged with student council, and I asked him to be here because he might be able to clear up some questions that the board might have and that the students may have. But I'd certainly like to introduce, we're going to start with Jarrell Farley. He's a sophomore. He's at the high school. He's going to get up, as well as Alana Smith. And Alana Smith's very courageous as a 9th grader. And she was very helpful in introducing my father when he came to speak, and of course, Dr. Pachoda. But let's turn it over to the students. I told them, we're here to support you. No need to be nervous whatsoever. Not one iota should you be nervous, okay? Just talk to us. That's all we want you to do, is talk and tell us what's going on. And then Mr. Romero, if they happen to talk about furniture, then that's your cue, if they happen to, okay? So let's give them a hand, because it's tough. They're the first ones to do this. Thank you. Don't be scared of the mic. There's a microphone there. You can take it, or you can, there's another one. We have 2. One there. Make sure it's on. And
Hi, my name is Alana Smith, and I am the freshman representative of the Student Council. Hi, my name is Alana Smith, and I am the freshman representative on the student government.
Good afternoon, board. My name is Jarrell. I act on the publicity team on the student government.
So today we are talking about the renovation of the cafeteria. And we first got to meet Manny Ramiro, and we talked about a lot of the things. We had a bunch of questions for him, and we talked about the durability of the tables. We talked about like the safety of the tables, and he brought us a bunch of ideas, and we got to come back with those and share them with the rest of the school. And we got a bunch of positive feedback, but we did get a little bit of negative feedback. And some of the things that we liked about the designs he had was booths, high chairs and high tables, and tables with embedded with the Romulus logo, and new square tables instead of the circle ones. And those were the favorites we liked.
Okay, so just to piggyback off what she said, yes, as you know, when you do something good, you always get the negative feedback. So after our board meeting, I walked into the who class? I think Mr. Novak, or is it Miss Payson? One of those, right? And I was showing the paper around. I was like, "What do you think about it?" I got a lot of yes, I love it. Then that one person, oh, that's ugly. What is that? I was like, wow. I was like, okay. Then they said, oh, this school never does anything. I was like, didn't they just put new carpet in? That wasn't nothing. I was like, oh, okay. Well, it look like you just one of those people that's not gonna like it. It's a lot of people that love it. So it is what it is. And they yelled back at me. I laughed it off. It was hilarious. So yeah.
I also had a friend. I asked them, I had the picture and everything. I said, what do you guys think about this? And they're like, why does it look like that? They said that the tables are too straight, they're too aligned, they're supposed to look scattered. I'm like, why do you want that? I mean, if you have new stuff, why not take the option to get it? Because I believe in, if we get offered something, always take it. If it's good, that is.
All right, so so my name is Jarrell. I'm president of Wisdom Minds, which is that piece of paper right there. Yes, that one. I'm president of Wisdom Minds, which is a mental health support group. And it has been a journey, I can tell you that. It has been a journey. I've been grinding since I want to say October. So I had to make Google surveys, put up posters, send out emails, do everything I can to get everybody's attention. And let me say, it did not work. It didn't work. That's cool. It didn't work. But we're in the new year, and starting January, it worked. I had my first group. I want to say, I don't know the date, but I want to say like 2 weeks ago, and it was amazing. I got to connect with everybody, and I had to explain to them that this is a safe place. You're allowed to talk about whatever you feel like you want to talk about. I'm not here to judge nobody, and whoever sitting in this room is not going to judge you. If so, they're gone, and that's just that. I can't sugarcoat it for you. So if you don't do that, I want to say well respected throughout the school, and I try to, there's some things they don't understand. I was like, hey, you got to understand, I'm going to use an example. How I met Dr. Edmondson, I sent him an email speaking on the student voices because they did a petition, and I was like, that's probably not going to work. Let me try something. And it worked. So he came to the high school, I think it was that Friday, and he sat down and he talked to me. Then Mr. White came along, and he sat down, because we had a differences on Monday. We had our differences, but we squashed that. The next day, it wasn't nothing. We squashed that, and we squashed everything. So then I sent another email out, and I had explained to them that Mr. White is here for a reason. So the behavior, we all know this behavior is not what it's supposed to be. So I was like, we can't even act like it's not what it is. So I was like, he was sitting here for a reason. So if you can't get with it, then I don't know what to tell you. If you go ahead. I'm sorry.
I also, for the Mr. White thing, it only took him a week to fix a bunch of the tardy problem we had. We had a huge tardy problem. Everyone was late to class, and within a week, he fixed it all. Like, almost everybody was on time, and which has helped the school.
Okay, so now I want to speak for some student voices. First question, they feel like with the tardies, well, I don't agree with this, but I'm just saying they feel like with the tardies that they should be marked tardy. Remember this: 3 minutes into school, and I had to explain to them that ain't how that work. Because if you go into work 3 minutes, you go get some money deducted off, and you ain't. Well, you go. Let me say this: you go to work on time, but you go come to school late. I was like, that ain't how that work. Come on. I was like, I was like, this your education. I know it's not fun, but hey, it is what it is. And they were like, oh, we never see, no, we never see any of the board members. I was like, well, you can always go to a board meeting. It's more to open. It's more to open for you to go. They're like, oh, well, Jerome, I'm not like you. I don't do. I was like, well, you ain't got to be like me. I didn't ask you to. But I just want you to understand that if you really pay attention, you can go on Facebook, Instagram. They tell you everything. You can go right on the school website. So it's here. It's there. You're just not looking for it. So I'm just a little bit more mature than my fellow peers. So I look at things a little differently than everybody else. So yeah, do you got something to say?
That's a really good question. Let me think about it for a second. So, as back to the lunchroom renovation, yes, we got positive and negative reviews, but most said positive. And a bunch of the stuff we said, like, as for getting rid of some of the tables, we don't have to get rid of them. We can put them elsewhere. Like the courtyard, there's enough space to add at least 2 or 3 more tables, so we can still like hold on to those. As for the lunchroom, we had questions about like how many people are gonna fit in there. Like I'm pretty sure there's gonna be enough seating, considering I don't think every single person attends school. Like not every student, unless it's count day. Really? Oh. Well, see what I mean? There's gonna be enough seats, and I know that. But we also discussed the full financial part of this with Mr. Mr. Ramiro.
That's fine.
All right, now, Mr. Murrow, can I get you for a second? Can you explain? Yeah, I got it written down. I understand it, but I think you can explain it better than me. My bad, Joe. I take a lot of notes. Can you, like, explain this to me, if you can read that? I think I got a decent handwriting.
You gonna give him the mic, or?
Yeah, I'm trying to.
No, okay. Okay, so I see what you have here. What exactly is it that you're looking for?
Like, can you, like, break it down for me? I was just confused. Like, these square tables, are they them square tables with the logo on it?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
so then which one is just the regular square table?
So, hi. Let's take a step back. So, hi. My name is Manny Romero. I have had the privilege and honor of working with Dr. Pachota, the fine student council, and Dr. Ben in an experience that I have continued to carry to every school district that I walk through. Being able to see these guys step up here and fight through fears, fight through anxiety. Public speaking isn't easy, but take on a challenge and have a voice is something that is not done across our state. And that is something that I commend the board for allowing this to happen. I commend Dr. Eve for being the one behind this to really drive this, because not only do they get the experience of what's going on in their school, but this is a business class that they're taking too. They were able to sit through the different layouts that we had. They were able to ask the questions on the finances, which is what brings us here today. So a couple things to tie into what Jarrell asked me. Number one, the square tables that you have on here, those are the square logo tables. So you guys see this Romulus US Eagle Nation on here? We've got 4-seat high tops that are gonna have, if you look at the 4-seat high tops on the diagram, that's gonna have that Romulus logo built in there. Really, one of my big takeaways from the meetings that I had was community pride. And that logo that you see everywhere throughout the city, that logo that you see everywhere throughout the schools, that's something that we wanted the kids to walk in, see, and feel like they are a part of. So that was one of the main reasons why we went with the logo on the squares. All of the squares that you see on the cost here, those are new squares. Why? You made a very good point. We want to repurpose. We don't want to just go in and see stuff that's in here and say, let's get rid of it, let's move on. Absolutely not. This is not a one-time thing for myself, for them. This is something that we were looking, we've got the high school, we want to make some changes. What else can we do? So we looked and saw the quality of all of the equipment that's in the high school. Great news, guys. It's in there's a lot of it that's in very good shape that can be repurposed throughout the rest of the district. So all of the round tables that you see on here, and all of the rectangles that you see on here, that's your existing seating. So when you look at that and you look at the square table cost, that is for the logo and that is for the top and the bottom. And then as you work your way down, same thing. High chairs, the Romulus tables, that's the print, and then your normal chairs and your booths. Booths, a little bit unique, right? You walk into a high school cafeteria, you don't necessarily think you're gonna see a booth. But what we're talking about here are restaurant grade upholstery that are built to last, but it is built to put these kids in a comfortable place. A place where they can go in, they can sit down, they can have a conversation, they can talk about these types of meetings, and they can really kind of decompress and level set. So, did that answer your question? All right. Sorry.
Okay, then I have one more thing. Now, I think I said it, but I came to speak for the student voice. And, Romulus has a bad reputation of, oh, this school is this, oh, the children are this, which I can say. I have experience, but I have experienced good people and, people who like to give people a hard time. I have. But I also experienced staff members, play around with the students and stuff, but then when admin walks in, act like the student did something. So when I say that, it's like, how you sitting here cussing with the students, but then when admin walk in, oh, you know what, he was doing, because I just saw it last week. I saw it last week.
To add to that, I had a friend, which I know it's wrong to joke around with teachers, but her and a teacher were joking around, and he all of a sudden, because an administrator came in and heard something, and he blamed it on my friend, and she was like, I'm not gonna take all the blame for it, and she tried to tell him that it wasn't just her. And they defended the teacher, and she got in trouble, but not in a lot of trouble, but she still got in trouble for it.
I appreciate that. Thank you. The courage.
Yes.
Okay, so next board meeting I will try to get, I will try to get some of my fellow peers to come check out the board meeting. I just want them to check it out. They can say they're a little public parent, whatever. I just want them to check it out. So I'm trying to get more student bodies in the audience next time. So, yes, any questions for us?
Oh, look, he's got it. I mean, I don't even have to.
I have a question. Is this, I wanted to ask, so as you heard what you call the negative feedback, were there other suggestions that accompanied the negative feedback? Were they like, we don't like this, but we would like?
Yes, we did have that. And that's what I meant by negative feedback. So they didn't like the certain placement of the booths being in the middle. They said that it'd look better against the wall, which I somewhat agree with it. I'm fine with whatever. But most of the negative reviews were just saying they didn't like the placement of it.
Okay, so. I want to thank both of you. I know Alana Smith, in addition to serving on student council, is part of our bowling team that just went to regionals, made it to regionals last week, so congratulations. And Jarrell Farley, of course, you know that your video spread through our community, and I did not know who you were, but I had been asking, does anybody know who that young man is? Because the way that you carried yourself in that moment, the maturity you showed, the desire to reach a resolution respectfully, you represent the students well, you represent yourself well, and you are to be commended for that. And I didn't find out who you were, but then when you took time to email the board, your email to us was on point and so well received and appreciated. So thank you for not just coming and speaking to us, but modeling what you say.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Trustee Kennard, did you have anything?
Okay, thank you. So, can you hear me? It's on. Is it on? Or? To the both of you, I just want to thank you for what you are standing for. Student government means a lot in high school, but as you go on and you matriculate through college, if you pretend you go there, or whatever you go into after you move on in life, this is the foundation, Romulus Community Schools, and I think you represent that very well. What I see in the both of you when I was watching and observing may not have looked like I was paying attention, but I heard you. And also listened, you both have that energy and persistence and to go where you're going, where I see that boldness. When you take a step out there and be bold, regardless of what type of feedback you get, okay, that speaks volumes in terms of what you may grow into being as you get older in life. And so I want to thank you for representing Romulus Eagles. Okay, I said that earlier when I saw him. He didn't catch it, but that means I'm an Eagle too. Okay, and so I congratulate you in what you are trying to do and how you're interacting with other students and bringing them aboard. But one question I do have in the diagram, I noticed that it says 240 seating. So does that mean in both of these drawings that it's, the capacity is 240 for all? Okay, and so is that the ultimate maximum, or is that just the max?
That's just based on what we're sitting, right, with what we're sitting on that diagram right there, just to kind of draw back on what I mentioned. We do have the ability to reutilize if we need to up the capacity, some of the existing equipment, because that drawing right there is using only roughly about 60% of the equipment that's currently in there.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And just to add on too, because they did mention about the different viewpoints of the feedback, everything that we're putting in there is on casters. So we're looking at it.
You can move it around.
As a design is not a final, it can be moved in a month, in a week, in a year, in 3 years.
Okay, thank you, all right.
Could we get those costs, President Wester? Okay, thank you.
Master, did you have anything? I just wanted to commend you both for coming up here and speaking. It can be very intimidating, and then taking on a project and people don't like it, you can take it to heart and it can be hurtful. You like, I put all this work in and y'all don't like these tables, so I get it. And you're under great leadership with Dr. Pachota. I love her. She was one of my teachers, I'll say back in the day, because, I mean, it's about to be 20 years now. So, and you're leaving your legacy behind. When you have kids, because, I mean, a family, and if you're still here, they'll be eating at those lunch tables. So, I mean, it's just the seeds that you plant, and you come back and see it later on. So, thank you.
Before I turn it over to Dr. E, I want to say thank you. Both of you did an awesome job. I met you at Dr. Edmondson when he spoke for Black History Month, and Mr. Jarrell, you just took over. You know, born leader, a born leader. I just want to say thank you, and I commend you, because as we see, these are ninth graders.
He's 10th.
He's a 10th grader. But we have 2 more years with him. We have 3 years with Miss Alana. You are setting the foundation. You are setting the foundation, and I appreciate all your hard work. Thank you. Dr. E.
And just briefly, you are 9th grade and you're 10th grade. It's our responsibility to make sure that they finish here. That's our responsibility, and that we have things to offer our students and they feel that they have a degree of pride. This is probably one of the best moments I've had this year, is to go, first of all, and I met with Jarrell, and first of all, he sent me an email, and I love when students send me an email. I think it's courageous. And, you know, sometimes I think they don't even think I would respond, but I do. So I responded and I met with him. Great meeting, and just an impressive young man, as we can all see. Alana, too, she's kind of feels like she's in this 9th grade shell, but most people wouldn't do that in the 9th grade. They don't have the courage to do what she does. And when I'm sitting at the student council meeting, she takes an active role. I want to thank you for all the prep work that you all did. We didn't go into all of that, okay? But I know the amount of work that you did to share with all the students, as many students as you could. And just like we said, people aren't going to like you no matter what. I mean, you're not here for them, okay? You're here to do your job. Do your job, you do it well to the best of your ability. There's always going to be somebody that's not going to like what you're doing. It's just the nature of people, and that's okay. To the board, I do have pricing. I didn't want to, we're not jumping to that yet. I wasn't going to jump to that, but I wanted them to be part of the entire process, to see the money, to hear about discounts, to hear how we're in a consortium, and then when you get a certain price, that's the price. So I wanted to go over that first. I mean, I wanted them to have that experience. I will absolutely share that with you. I want to give it to you. I did not know Manny. I did not know this company, but he showed me the chair. He said, everybody knows our chair. We all know the chair because we all grew up with it, but you don't see it This company has been around for, we've all seen the chair. The plastic one with the 3 slates, it's blue usually. We've all seen it. But I've just been very pleased, and I thank the board for allowing me this opportunity to get the young people. I'm going to continue to do that. I'm going to the middle school. I want the middle school to have the same opportunity to be able to have a student voice. It's important that they get the voice and that they help make and drive the decisions that we're making so it's not thrown on them. We'll continue, you guys. I said you'll probably see me once a month, so I want to hear the good things, and I want to share, and I want you to be able to ask me questions, but I also told you what you need to demand. You need to demand that your principals are there and that some of your teachers are there so that you can move that school forward. If we can get the culture and climate together, we're headed in the right direction, and we are getting the culture and climate together, so now we can go in the right direction. So I just want to thank you all, and we will see you did an excellent job. And now on behalf of the Board of Education, we have something for the 2 of you for your time. Sorry, Dr. Pechoda. You can buy one.
And if anybody is interested in one of these for themselves, they are
Yes.
for purchase for $20.
Madam President, can we get a picture of them in the front with Dr. Pechoda?
That's Debbie Powell's job. Yes. But whatever works. And we put the little fella to sleep over there. Is that little fella over there sleeping, knocked out? We know Jarrell could sell those, don't we, Ms. Piles? We know you can go sell those for us, $20. 2 for $15.
Eagles. All right, gotcha.
Oh, yes.
My apologies to the TLP team, but this was necessary, so we're good.
Let's give our students another hand, please.
Now, in the interest of time to the students, you don't have to be here, but this is part of government. You're more than welcome to leave whenever you see fit. That's fine, okay? So thank you, and you get to see how a board meeting runs, but when you have to go, you gotta go. Thank you, board.
Next, we have our district data presentation by Mr. Scott Rourke.
All right, good evening, everyone. I want to start by saying I'm very, very proud of our students from the high school presenting before us. So that just really is an example of the work of our leaders, our staff, and also our students, and also our families as well. So I want to first acknowledge that piece. Tonight you'll hear 2 presentations on behalf of the TLP team. TLP stands for Teaching, Learning, and Professional Development. The theme for the presentation would be Got Data, Now What? And so it is a book that I find dear and very helpful as we speak about data, systems, and having impact. This book is authored by Laura Lipton and Bruce Wellman. And so basically, we've had many presentations on data. We now have to see, okay, now what? Once you get the data, analyze the data, what are the next steps. So the first part of our presentation that Scott and I will present to you all will be about the data. We'll then hear from the rest of the TOPP team to speak about the now what. So I just want to set the stage in regards to the two presentations. So right here we have our mission statement that we have shown many times, but I'll reiterate it because there's some key words I really want to highlight. The TOP team, we are dedicated to collaborate with, keyword collaborate with. We've received feedback just from teachers, administrators about the level of collaboration they've seen this year in a long time, if not for the first time from some staff. And strengthen the instructional community within RCS as we strive to become a destination district. We must collaborate in order to reach that goal. TOP, we can't do it by ourselves. Teachers can't do it by themselves. Administrators, central office, the board, students, families, we cannot do it by ourselves. We must collaborate in order to reach that goal. Here's our team. We have some in the audience of the TOP team. We've seen many times. So you have myself, we have Janelle Edwards here, Akua Marshall. Sarah Good is actually representing TOP at our Kindergarten Festival Week at Rollins Elementary. Krista Saylor, and we have Scott Rourke. So now we're going to hear about the data. So I know this has been asked for many, many times, but as stated before, we need to first take the exam, have our students take the assessment, then make sure we actually have all the data, put it into a report that is presentable, and then analyze as a team, and then share out. So we're now at the point where we can share out regarding the data. And so I'm going to turn it over to Scott to speak on the NWEA Fall to Winter Data Review.
Good evening. So I'm here again tonight to give you our NWEA winter updates so that we know what the progress the progress that we're making towards our MyKIP goals and our targets, and know just how we are progressing throughout the year. We're going to be looking at two data sets for our winter NWEA map data. One of those data sets is grade level proficiency. With grade level proficiency, it's really important to understand that that is measuring two terms: how students came to us in the fall, and then where students are at right now for winter. We measure grade level proficiency by students being at the 61st percentile or above. The 61st percentile or above for NWEA is where NWEA tells us that this is a good likelihood that a student is going to be proficient on our state assessments. So MSTEP, PSAT, and SAT. Along with that, because that 61st percentile or above measures or projects our state assessment performance, it also helps us to monitor our MyKIP goals and then make sure that we're on target to meeting those goals.
And I'll just share, in your folders that I just passed out, we do have a copy of our MyKIP goals. We want to make sure we connect everything to our MyKIP goals. We have to have that target. So it is in your folder, I believe it's the first page on your right side of the folder.
So additionally, we are also going to look at NWEA growth, because NWEA tells us two things: where students are at based on percentiles, and then what is the growth over time for our students taking the MAT test. Really important to know when you're looking at the data within your packet. For growth, we are looking at last winter and this winter. Each testing term, fall, winter, spring, has a specific target that students are supposed to meet for that term. So it's not really appropriate to compare fall growth to winter growth. It's more appropriate to say, how did students do last fall, last winter, to how students did this winter. So just know that when we switch over to growth, we're looking at last year's fall to this year's fall. Growth also helps us to identify who's falling behind so that we know which students need interventions, which teachers need coaching. And then lastly, with our growth, which is really important to look at because we're always looking for those underachieving students, growth also helps us to see which students are exceeding so that we can keep challenging those students, keep enriching those students. So proficiency, grade level proficiency, and then growth. Oh, okay, you got it. All right. So last time I was with you, back in December, I got a joke that whenever I show data, I'm not supposed to just tell you about data. We're all supposed to use a data protocol. So I decided that this time I'm going to bring the data protocol to you just so that you know how throughout the district, in all of our committees and our meetings, how we are having a dialogue around our data so that we are very focused on what we're looking at and that we're making decisions about that data in a strategic, organized way. So our data protocol is called the Collaborative Learning Cycle, and it was developed by Laura Lipton and Bruce Wellman, the Got Data, Now What writers. This data protocol has three phases to it, so it helps to keep us focused on each phase that we are analyzing that data, predicting, exploring, and then organizing how we're going to work with that data. Having a data protocol allows all of us to have an opportunity to contribute to that conversation because we all come with different lenses when we're looking at that data. We all have different experiences. We all went through we experienced that data differently, so it's important that all of us have an opportunity to contribute to the conversation. What our protocol really needs to emphasize is that it's not a witch hunt. It's not an opportunity to find who's not doing what, where things are just going terribly wrong. Instead, it's an opportunity to make it a treasure hunt, to find where are those gold nuggets at, where are things being positive, where are we seeing strong impact on student learning. So that data protocol helps us to keep that in mind that we're on a treasure hunt here to look at where things are really going well. In addition to that, we also need to have that conversation around causal theories, around curriculum design. How does curriculum design impact our student learning? The infrastructure, how is our school day set up? How are our school years structured out? Instructional methods, how is teaching having an impact on the student learning? Teacher and student knowledge and the readiness for what they're learning and what they're teaching. And then also leadership. How does leadership support the implementation of our curriculum and our instruction? So this protocol really structures our conversation around those causal theories, getting to being action-oriented, that we set steps to replicate what's good within our data to that what needs to be improved. So that data protocol has each of those steps to make sure that we're very focused, very structured on how we're talking about that data and what we're going to do with that data.
I have 2 points I want to lift up about the DAT. So it is in your folder. We want to make sure you actually had a copy of it. And another piece, which really helps our discussions. We use this during our curriculum council meetings, during POCs. We also, right now, just wrapped up our data reviews at each of our schools. In the data reviews, we have the school leader and their leadership team looking at their NWEA data, M-STEP data, suspension data, multiple sets of data, looking at strengths and areas of growth. But it's so easy to jump to the why. Oh, this is why our data's like this. Well, the DAT keeps them like, nope, let's pause, we're not there yet. It kind of keeps that structure and control to make sure we're being very intentional about looking at the data and identifying strategies to address the data. And so I wanted to lift up the data reviews because, again, we just finished our last one today at Wick Elementary, and they're awesome. So just wanted to make sure we showed you we are using it on a regular basis.
So we are going to get into grade level proficiency. You have so reading, grade level proficiency, students performing at the 61st percentile or above. I have all the schools listed there, but in the essence of time that we have here, I'm just going to highlight the district data for this time. And then at the end of the presentation, I have some takeaways that talk about the different buildings and the grade levels. So, grade level proficiency for reading for MAP in the fall, and you see on your chart at the last data set there, we started at 24% of our students being at grade level proficient. In the winter, we are at 26 of our kids being grade level proficient. Keep in mind that that 61st percentile predicts for us how many of our students are going to be proficient on the MSTEP, SAT, or PSAT. So I can say right now that many of our schools, based on our winter data, are projected to be proficient on their state assessment. So some of our schools are in a good position based on reading data. Some of our schools are just almost there, so we're getting close to that, and we still have another half of the year to go here. You don't have the school? Go ahead. Go. All right, so that's the grade level data. You didn't have the individual school data? Okay, all right. Yep, you're welcome. So we have our school data. You have that, so I'm going to skip over that and move on into our math. So our math school data, again, grade level proficiency. Moving over to the end where we see our district, 20% of our students were at grade level starting this fall. 27% of our students at wintertime are at grade level right now. So I'm excited to say that based on this data, based on where schools are at right now, all schools are projected to meet their state assessment projection goals. So if everything keeps going the way that it's moving right now, all of our schools should meet their targets for this year in math.
And one thing I want to lift up, being a mathematics person, very excited about the data, but on trend regarding the data is typically where you see a larger increase in reading. So across the board, we're seeing a large increase in our mathematics. So I know we'll hear later about how intentional we were as a TOP team to address the mathematics. And so I just wanted to kind of just lift that up again, mathematics being a special place in my heart, but also just seeing the hard work that I'm seeing going on in our schools and with our teams.
So you have the
Question, I have a question. May I?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, you're absolutely correct. And see, I'm looking at the numbers here and it's showing growth. K, from starting at grade K all the way up to 12th grade, even though there's a minor difference there in the 12th grade, I was wondering what's happening there. It's small, but, you know, it's down where everything else is up. And also, when you are saying that your expectations are at 61% of that our students should pass the state assessment, what is the state assessment in terms of what that number, the data number, where it should be? Even though we're 61 based on this, what is the state saying it should be?
So let me clarify the 61. It's the 61st percentile or higher that students score in. So if a student is in the 61st percentile, they're likely to be proficient on the state assessment. So that target are within your packets. I believe you have our MyKIP goals and targets. We came up with those based on our baseline data of 2022 and what we needed to do as we worked with the partnership agreement. So each school has its own individual target based on its baseline data.
Okay.
Regarding your other question for the 12th grade,
Yeah.
so I mentioned earlier about the data reviews where we actually dig down really deep into each of the schools. What I can do is send to the board data regarding just the 12th grade by itself. I don't want to speak to it right now at this moment, but we have definitely delved down deep with each of our schools at grade levels, subgroups for like special education, any demographics that we have to take into consideration. So it's a lot of factors that we don't want to speak to right now, but we can definitely follow up later with you.
Yeah, because also in the reading, grade 1, 4, 6, and 9 are down in reading, but the others are up. And so I guess, you know, it's based on the different criteria for each school, which we don't have. We just have the grade. So I guess that, whatever those factors are, you can see that at the data that you have at the school district. Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
All right.
And thank you for this. Your data is always appreciated. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And so a question I have is, are reports, data reports run looking at the same student over time as well as the same teacher over time to figure out what gaps there may be or what supports may be needed?
We do look at that cohort data to see where certain groups of kids were at last year, where they're at this year, or where they were at fall and where they're at for winter. This data is not necessarily that.
Right, this isn't, but I was just wondering, is
Just
that
overall
pulled for the
district data.
TLP team meetings and?
Yep. Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
And you'll see evidence of that later in our presentation, because we definitely want to show impact and compare from last year when we did not have a TLP team or instructional specialist supporting and coaching students and teachers compared to this year. So if you can hold on to that question, we'll definitely address it. Thank you.
So this is the point where we can start to see where we were at last year, where we're at this year. So when we're looking at percentile bands of growth, it's really astonishing to see kids move from one band to another band within a small amount of time. So that's, when students do that, we know that they're getting closer and closer to grade level proficiency. So for last year, during winter, after our winter time, we had 17% of our students move up a percentile band. So they went from a low to a low average, or a low average to a high, or to an average. 17% of those students were moving up, getting closer to grade level proficiency. This year, for this winter, 27% of our students moved up a percentile band. So 27% of our students moved up a lot to getting closer to grade level proficiency. For math, last year, 20% of our students moved up a performance band. And for this year, 34% of our students in math moved up a performance band, getting closer to grade level proficiency. So that's a gold nugget. That's where we look at that and say, what's going on that we need to replicate that moving towards springtime. So now let's flip over and look at growth. So now growth is comparing last winter to this winter. So if we look at the district data, 46% of our students in reading last year met their fall to winter target. For this year, 52% of those students met their target for math. So we had the grade level data.
For reading.
Or, yeah, for reading, thank you, for reading. So our grade level data for reading. Now for math, last year, 49% of our students met their fall to winter target. So this year, 64% of our students met their target for math. Grade level change, you can see a lot of burgundy spikes compared to last year. So let's talk about comparing last year to this year. So remember I said at the beginning, when students exceed their targets, when they're in the 75th percentile for growth, when they exceed that target, they are moving up those performance bands. They are getting closer and closer to being at grade level, if they're not already there. So last year, 29% of our students exceeded their growth target for winter. This year, 35% of our students exceeded their growth target. They're in the 75th percentile for growth. For math last year, 30% of the students exceeded their target. This year, 46% of our students exceeded their targets. Again, these are kids that are growing leaps and bounds to moving closer to grade level or staying in grade level performance.
I just want to pause here. I think it's time to celebrate because we are seeing growth, not only in the growth area, also proficiency. And I know the TLP team, along with Scott, we look at the data and see, okay, we're happy with this growth, but there's more work to do. We have higher targets for our district, but we definitely want to celebrate what we're seeing thus far, and that's why those data review meetings are so important, because we're meeting with the principals and their team saying, okay, this is where we are right now. How can we improve it even more so? And so just know that we definitely want to celebrate this growth and the gains we're seeing, but we also know we have more work to do, and we accept it as a team along with our schools in order to continue to work towards meeting our MyKIP goals.
Okay, so I want to end this with some takeaways. Takeaways for reading, takeaways for math. So starting first is our grade level performance. WIC was one of our highest grade level changes for fall to winter in performance. 9% change. That was it. RVLC. RVLC currently right now, 24% of those students are performing at grade level. Kindergarten had our strongest grade level change from fall to winter. So turning over to growth, Romulus Middle School, from last winter to this winter, 15% growth difference. Romulus High School, 13% growth difference, the two of our higher performance schools for growth. Within those schools, grade 7 had the highest growth difference, and then grade 9 had 15% growth difference.
And I just want to lift up just a personal note. I taught middle school for a number of years, and 7th grade is a grade you don't want to mess with. So to see this growth, I'm very proud of those students because they're going through some changes. The staff's going through changes, so I was very pleased to see that for grade 7.
Yeah, grade 7 is always at middle child,
Yes.
and then grade 9 is at starting all over again.
Yes.
Moving down the totem pole. So for math, WIC again, WIC, highest grade level performance change. That was a 15% performance change from fall to winter this year. Kindergarten, again, highest grade level performance for this year. So our kindergartners are starting off strong in both reading and both math. All of our schools, let me say this again, all of our schools had higher growth this year than they did last year for fall. Romulus Middle School, 22% growth difference from last year. WIC Elementary, another 22% growth difference from last year. Grade 3, 30% growth difference from last year. And grade 6, a 26% growth difference. So a lot of good change going on this year compared to last year. And if we go back to our causal theories from our data protocol, if we look at what's going on to say, are these some of the reasons? We have curriculum design and implementation. We have several curriculum things going on right now. So we know that some of that's going to have an impact on the data to where we're not going to see it jump up as fast as we want, but then we know that moving forward, it's necessary to do. When we look at instruction, we have PLCs going on that are supporting our PLCs. Our infrastructure, the way that we've designed our PD calendar for this year is supporting that. And then our teacher knowledge, readiness, our student readiness, and our leadership all have an impact on this data. Much so more than probably what we've seen in the past, as the data shows.
And I'll just lift up 2 more pieces. We have a keyword of being very intentional in all of our planning. And in our next presentation, you'll see the now what, and also what we've done as a TLP team to get these gains across the board in all of our schools compared to last year. So unless we have any questions for myself or Scott regarding the data, we'll then bring up our next presentation. But I'll pause to see if there's any questions. Yes?
Thank you for all of this. This was
welcome.
great. Based on, back at the beginning, based on the grade level proficiency increases that we've seen, do you have projections as to what percentage of our students in each grade should be proficient on MSTEP based on these NWEA scores?
Not based on the NWA. We have our projections based on, through our MyKIP process,
Okay.
of where each school needs to be at to meet their targets. MDE just recently released new long-term goals stretching out to 2032. So at this point, what we need to do is go back with all of our schools and say, are the current goals within striking range for 2032? Are they going to get us there, or do we have to reevaluate our goals? So we're going to be in the process of looking at what we currently have to what MDE, the new guidance from NDE, has released for us.
Thanks. Let me rephrase that. Generally speaking, if our students hit a 61% proficiency mark, then they should demonstrate proficiency on the M-STEP at the end of the year.
Correct.
Okay, so I'm just wondering, I guess my question is, based on last year's percentage of students that were not proficient or were proficient, do we have any projected or any goals by grade level of what that should look like this year as a result of these meetings, these, intense supports?
So what we've done this year is identify how many of our kids are already proficient based on last year's M-STEP and PSAT and SAT scores. We've identified who's already proficient so that a school knows that you should be good with these students. And then we went and looked at which students are close to being proficient, which students just missed the mark from last year. We've identified who those kids are. Each building has come up with a plan on how it's going to get those students, that number of students, up to the proficiency level.
And I would say one thing, even we met with WIC's team today, not only is it about the teachers knowing who those students are, we have the term, or Scott has the term, not yet students or bubble students. It's also about communicating to the parents that their child is right at the cusp, and we need your support to kind of just bring them to the next performance band. And so I think that's a key piece, that each school has a plan to address those not yet / bubble students to get them over the edge to contribute towards our data that's going to be in a positive direction.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it did, because I'm looking at what the state website shows and hoping that our next set of scores show that increase, because currently in grades 3 through 8, we have 60 to 85% of our kids not proficient. So I'm just wondering how we target making sure by grade level we're increasing proficiency and how that's measured.
That's what we're doing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Welcome. Any other questions or comments?
Madam, I just had a comment. Just looking at the kindergarten is the highest grade level performance, and then the strongest grade level change. Your foundation is everything. With Kindergarten Festival Week, that's the selling point for, the data. You don't have to know about the numbers, but you can see that starting off, kindergarten is coming in strong. We can talk about COVID. They don't know how to tie their shoes, but Miss Rachel and parents is doing something along with the school, because when they come in, they're showing growth and knocking it out the park and congratulations to Wick back there. Just doing your thing. But yeah, it's good to see that, because we get them in kindergarten, we want them to go all the way through to 12th grade. So the foundation is everything. So thank you for the presentation.
You're welcome. All right. I don't think I go far. So we go straight to the next presentation. Is that okay? Okay. So for our next presentation, again, we got the data. Everyone saw the great data, or the data. Now is the now what part. So I'll bring up Janelle Edwards to lead us off for the next portion of the presentation.
All right, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
All right, coaching. So coaching builds capacity in our teachers, and then in turn that offers daily professional development for our teachers and our staff. In that professional development, they are gaining skills, developing themselves. They are participating in mentorship as well. They are getting support from our coaches, and then right there on the job training. Modeling lessons are being modeled for them, and then they're being able to go through a coaching cycle. So they are setting goals, they're learning from our coaches, they're able to observe and collect data, and then go back into reflection, and then adjust their instruction for best practices. All right, and now to introduce our coaching staff. So we have Kia Middleton and Abigail, I can never say her last name. Snachensky. Okay, Snachensky, yes. And they are both our COSAs. And so our COSAs are grant funded, and we have a English Language Arts COSA who only works with grades K through 3. And then we have a mathematics COSA who works in math, grades K through 5. In addition to Akua Marshall and Krista Saylor, who are our instructional specialists, and they are coaches as well. However, as coaching Krista and Akua, they have an umbrella that has a bunch of other things that they do as well. And so they're gonna soon come up to explain everything that they do under their umbrella. But before we get to that point, we wanna talk about the impact that coaching has on our students.
So if we can go back one more slide, I just want to emphasize one piece with the COSAs, because I believe it was at least 2 meetings where the question was, what's the difference between Akua and Krista and our COSAs? So I know Janelle mentioned that how they're only elementary. So that means Kia doing mathematics can't go into our middle school. They can't go into our high school. Abby, she can't even go to our 4th and 5th grade classes. And so it's important to know that Akua and Krista are still supporting our schools. So it's not like we can swap out Kia and Abby for Krista and Akua, because we'll miss a huge population of our district. And so I just wanted to emphasize that another piece, because I go to monthly curriculum directors meetings, there are still districts that are trying to fill their math COSA position. So I'm very grateful that we found Kia, and she's with us here at Romulus because she's outstanding. So I just wanted to just lift up those 2 points about our COSAs for the district.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the impact that the TLP has had throughout the time period that we started. We started up around last summer, and we just hit the ground running with what we had, and we've developed systems. So many of you see us running around and scurrying. What are they doing? And what are they doing? So we're going to go ahead and look at the impact data. Chris is going to talk a little bit about what we compared to show the impact that we've made as a team.
Thank you. Good evening. So what we did was all of the teachers that we are working with, are coaching, we took the list of their students, and then we looked at their data last year, their data from fall to winter, and then we looked at the students this year from fall to winter, just kind of see what kind of impact is it making, right? So we took the same sample of students. I think someone asked earlier if we're using that, taking the same sample of students. And so that's what we did here. And this is the data that it showed us.
For reading in the fall of last year, so rewind where we were last year, we had 40% in students that met their student growth target. However, this year, when we fast forward to where we are now, we see the growth of the people who were coached. So we went from 40% last year, this year we're at 53%, and that's in our reading category. You want to talk about math?
So last year, fall to winter, we had 46% of this group of students that met their growth target. And then this year, we had 64% of those same students that met their growth target in math. So we're pretty excited about that.
And I just want to add that this group of students that we followed from last year and this year are now with the teachers that have been coached compared to non-coached teachers last year.
And I'll also add, we're very, again, that word intentional again. We are very intentional about the teachers that we were selected to coach. We got input from our principals. We used the data. We worked as a team to make sure we had the right teachers that needed that support. So we didn't just pick any, oh, you. No, we were very intentional about who actually got the coaching from Krista, Akua, Abigail, and Kia in order to track this data.
Thank you. So as instructional specialists, there's a lot of roles that we have. Did you want to talk a little bit about the umbrella and the rain? I heard you talk about seeds and planting seeds and, okay. Krista has a really amazing analogy as we go into this.
So as we were thinking about giving you all the update on what we've been working on, Akua said, yes, we need to talk about all of the things that fall under our umbrella. And I was like, yes, that's true. And so we started thinking about children. Like, if you're in the business of education, our business is to grow children. That's what we do, right? We try to grow their capacity intellectually, socially, emotionally, the children as a whole. And so as we're growing children, we plant seeds, and we know that when you garden, you have to plant the seeds, put some nutrients in it, give it some sunshine, some water. And so springtime is coming and it rains. And so right now, we're in that phase of rain. We've planted some things, it's raining, so we have several seeds that we've placed into the ground and several rows that we're doing. So we use an umbrella as our symbol as to the things that we've been doing throughout this year so far.
One of my responsibilities, or several of the responsibilities I have underneath my umbrella, deal with literacy and social studies. So the first thing I would like to acknowledge is coaching, teacher, and teacher support. When we came in this year as a coach, it was new, a newer concept for the district. And some people were intimidated, like, what is this? Why are you here? Are you evaluating? We went in right away as instructional specialists and let people know it's not that. We are here to see you grow. So Krista and I had an opportunity to go to a training called Cognitive Coaching, and it was all about meeting people where they are, allowing them to set the goal that they need. But we also, in the back of our mind, are thinking about the needs and looking at the data and the needs of the principal. So we go to cognitive coaching and we find out what's the best way to get the results out of people. So we listen to them. As we go into their classrooms, we offer support with the students. We offer support with their goal. Their goal is always something dealing with the data. We go back, when we sit down with the teachers, we look at data. This is where we are. We also pull resources. I model lessons. I co-plan lessons with people. Professional development. One awesome part about being a coach or instructional specialist, we are always available to give some kind of support or professional development on a regular basis. And that's to the teachers, and sometimes even with the principals, we're thought partners and give professional development. In my role this year, I had an opportunity to actually conduct some professional development as well as bring in other facilitators. One of my proud moments this year is we brought in Newzella, which is a company that offers reading levels at 5 different reading levels. And so when I brought in the training, I sat in training with one of the groups of teachers, and they said, this is amazing. And it's like, I can use this. And we brought in, I did a small training with some teachers. We did a larger training about a week ago, and you should have heard the teachers saying how they can incorporate this reading into their classes. So we listen, we look at the data, we give a lot of feedback, we give surveys, we look at the feedback, and we let the data help drive our decisions. Next, student support. So being in the classrooms with the COSA, they're there just to support just the teacher. So they're not supposed to take that, those are the coaching assignments. So Kia and Abby, they're there to just support the teacher and do just teacher support. However, as an instructional specialist, I'm there to assist the teacher, as well as I'm helping the teachers if they need to break off in small groups. I'm showing them how to do small group with teachers or with the students as well. One of my proud moments with the student support, I went in to model a lesson with one of the teachers recently, and the teacher was having a hard time with reading stamina. How do I get, my kids are expected to read all of this material. How do I get my students to do that? I said, let's talk to the kids. So I modeled the lesson with her, and we had a conversation with the students of what are the roadblocks and hurdles that you're having when you're reading? What's making it so hard for you to get through this? And we came up with a reading strategies list. I was proud enough of that moment. However, a week later, I'm sitting in the school and I hear, I want to give a shout out to Miss Marshall. Thanks for helping our classroom and helping us with that reading list. So there's always that student support. Analyzing data, Dr. Gartner talked a little bit about analyzing data. We sit down with teachers as we go into their classroom. We look at data. At Curriculum Council, we're doing professional learning teams looking at data, helping our grade level leaders as well as our department heads figure out where they're going to go with that data. We're there to guide them, not necessarily tell them everything to do, but we're giving them that gentle nudge of, here's that data, now let me help you with some strategies to move that data forward. And curriculum support. For many, many years, we have lost our systems when it came to curriculum. And so we adopt something, it might be one or two people in a room that's trying to figure out, is this the best product for us to use? This year, I'm so proud to announce that we started a textbook adoption process. And I shouldn't say start, we reintroduced that. And I spent a lot of time doing this textbook adoption process. And I tell you, one reason that it's important is we're setting the template so when it's time to adopt textbooks in other areas, that we have something available. So we had opportunity to present as a team to the board in the beginning of the school year. And I heard one of the members on the board say something like, well, our teachers, they need this. And we heard that. So we surveyed the teachers at the high school and we did a comprehensive needs assessment. What are your needs as an English department? Right now, we're really focused on English and math. So we did a comprehensive needs assessment. What are your needs? We did a survey. The materials that you're using right now, is it working? So we did this whole process. We brought in companies last week, 3 different companies, so the high school teachers could hear what these textbook companies have to offer. And ultimately, we're going to go into a pilot season soon so they can pilot and choose something. So there we have a guaranteed and viable curriculum at the high school level, meaning that all the students have material that can be produced to them and be viable for everyone to use. So those are some of the proud moments. And one of my many roles is also working with the Service Learning Institute. So when Mr. White first came around and the Service Learning Institute first started, I helped him to come up with the infrastructure and I monitor. So we have 3 amazing people at the middle school who are underground with the students and with the teachers on a regular basis. And I just make sure things are going smoothly, make sure everything is going where it's supposed to be. So those are some of the roles. I know sometimes people are wondering, I always see Chris and Akua just moving fast and going so many places. We're taking so many appointments because we do understand it's not just coaching, it's so many other things that are important to move things forward. Krista?
Thank you, Akua. So I am going to talk just a little bit. We have the same exact seeds and roles that we do. So Adam, you can just hit it so that all of them are listed. Thank you. So with coaching with mathematics, I sat with the teachers as they meet their SMART goals and kind of helped them through those things. Did some modeling of lessons and working with students, gave them resources and strategies to use. We also were able to give them IXL lessons, especially it was elementary school teachers who didn't really go through the IXL training as a middle school, but to help them give lessons to their students using the IXL. Professional development, we were able to, just like what Akua said, we were able to bring in companies to do some PD for our mathematics. We did Bridges and Big Ideas for elementary and secondary. They came in twice to work with them and show them how to use their resources and information online. Student support, same thing. I kind of work with some individual students and I work with students in small groups. Had a lot of fun working on proofs and geometry. And then analyzing data, I want to give another shout out to WIC for all the hard work that they did. We together as instructional specialists met with the data coach and with the leaders of the different schools to look at their quarterly data and so to help them come up with a plan. And so they would come up with a plan as we talked about it as to how they wanted to move their schools forward. So that was always very cool. And then curriculum support. So just like Akua said, we're using an adoption process for our textbooks. She's doing that for ELA because our main focus was math and ELA. Now we're going to be working on science and using the same protocol to come through and get a good curriculum for them. Also, we talked about, we're giving some training for NGSX, which is a national scientific standards that we're having the teachers train on. All of the secondary teachers are already certified, but the middle school teachers are not, so they're going to a training in May. That way they can do project-based learning. And then the STEAM Academy, we got rolling this year, and we had our ribbon cutting ceremony. They ended up having a museum night, and we are now expanding. So I'm working with the STEAM principal to get that going. Oh, I also wanted to mention and give a shout out to Adam to thank him for helping us with the Smart Board training. And there's an online software that's needed for the teachers, and he got that all up and running for them. So I did training with elementary schools and with the STEAM Academy to help their instruction go more smoothly.
They are busy. doing impactful work. So one thing I wanted to lift up quickly, because we're out of time, is that in addition to the academic data, we also had to make sure we had perceptual data. So what are our teachers saying? What are our students saying? What are our administrators saying? So in the next slide, first of all, some nice pictures regarding Akua and Krista in action. That's in your presentation. We're not going to go through this due to time, but you have it in your presentation. Again, this is just some feedback. Okay, so make sure you get the right one. So we'll hit a couple then, because they don't have this. So Janelle, if you can just hit the one, actually you can click the button for this one. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so we just wanted to lift how we make our adjustments in our professional development and all of the work that we do. So one of the comments that we saw in one of our results from our feedback was that there should be more mathematics professional development, especially at the elementary level. This was earlier in the fall. We had already had plans for November 7th. However, we then took that feedback and made that adjustment and made sure that we got our elementary teachers more PD in their mathematics curriculum, which is Bridges, just this past PD day on Wednesday. So we definitely look at that feedback and then make our adjustments accordingly.
And so when you get the right packet, you'll see all the other feedback. Again, we have students. Actually, I have Krista speak to one of the students' feedback, please, and then we'll stop there with the feedback.
Sure. The earlier, if you look at the top right, almost on the right, some students from WIC, they were, as Akua said, they were constantly in the classrooms working with different teachers, and the students know that we're there. They're expecting us. So they were like, hey, are you coming to our classroom today? Like in the hallway, excuse me, hello. And I'm like, oh, hey, yeah, I'm coming. But in middle school, I was really excited to hear one of the students, it was a 7th grader, we're talking about 7th grade today, who's saying, just showing perseverance. And she's like, if I keep practicing, I'll be able to solve these equations fast. Earlier like a few months earlier when I was in that classroom, there was a student who was really beating himself up when he got something wrong and was calling himself stupid. And I was like, nope, you just made a mistake. You got the other one right. Let's think about how we're thinking about ourselves. And so I was really excited when I came back a couple of months later, just in that same class, and heard those, how she's just like, she's gonna be able to get this. I'm like, yes, you are. So that was cool.
So we collect feedback all the time in regards to making sure as a team that we grow and we get better all the time, and we make adjustments. Always not positive, but we make those adjustments, and when it's positive, we just continue to move forward with it. So we're gonna end our presentation. I'm gonna let Akua and Krista wrap it up. In regards to the presentation, again, we'll ensure that you all get the right packets, the presentations that includes all of the information.
Adam, can you click the next? Do you have this in your packet, the now what? Okay, so you guys can read through those ideas that we have. We didn't want to spend too much time on it, but you don't have this one? Okay. It's a different. Okay, all right, we'll make sure that you get that. But we just like the data chats we have with the administrators and teachers, we'd like that to happen with the students. And then we have other ideas coming up. And Adam, can you click it? Thank you.
Now what for literacy and social studies? We're listening. We're constantly listening to hear what people are saying. And so one of the things we got was listen. And what we're using right now, curriculum-wise, there's a hole when it comes to early literacy and phonics instruction. So we talked to experts, and there's this program called UFly. It's from the University of Florida. We're starting to use that in our elementary. Also, I had an opportunity to start writing on a grant. I applied for it last week, and I have a literacy plan written inside of there. So K-5, we're talking about what it's going to look like as a district for the next couple years when we're talking about literacy. So we're constantly looking at data. We're constantly looking at data. Keep going. We're constantly looking at data, analyzing, sending out surveys, and getting the feedback. We understand, Dr. Gartner started off talking about some of our core values, and our mission statement is that we collaborate. This is not the TLP show. This is the Romulus Community Schools. We are all in this together.
Tomorrow starts today. Thank you for your time.
First of all, thank you to the TLP team and everyone else. So I'm going to just go through this quickly. I'm writing notes down, just looking at the results, I feel good that we're headed in the right direction. But I wrote here, combination of variables. And there's so many things that, we can be proud of, but they're because it's a combination of variables, not just one thing. And I just put like culture and climate, PD, processes, accountability, relationship building, work environment, programming, financial investments, new creative positions, filling vacancies, consistency, resources, curricula, collaboration, support, vision, stability, expectations, and leadership. I just put 20 things right there. And I was thinking about everybody in this room. Everybody in this room has had an impact on why we're trending up. Arguments, all the other stuff that go on and things, but when I sat there just looking at it, you can't put your hand on one thing and say it's just this. It's just a combination of variables that seem to be all coming together at the same time to see some positive results. Of course, I'm going to be excited to see what our next results are, but you're certainly scared too, like, uh-oh, what happens? But again, this just goes back to me for being the first high-performing urban school district in the United States based on those 4 things. I think that we can do it. I'm very proud of our district and where we've come in a short period of time. I'm excited about where we're going to go, and I just thank everybody in this room for your role, okay? Of the 20 things I mentioned, a lot of us can say, oh, I did that, I did. But it takes a whole, I'm not going to use the whole village. I'm not going to even say that. But it just takes a community to be focused on what the focus is, and we can have that happen. So, Scott, I want to thank you personally for the data that you put together. It's nothing I can't ask for or anyone else can ask for that we can get from you. You're like phenomenal. You truly are. You're a gem to this district. Not to say that anybody else is, and if you're waiting for me to talk about you, I'm not going to. I'm just going to say thank you so much for putting that data together and being able to articulate it, and be able to tell people what it means, and we have a whole lot of doing that, okay? And we really need to get our parents to understand that this is a great place to raise your child. It's a great school district. We're not perfect, but we're certainly on our way. And to Kim, you're sitting back there, of course. Those are great things. That's great. I know you feel good. You know, you're going to go and tell your staff yesterday how good you feel about that. And I feel very proud as the superintendent to see that WIC is trending out positively too. So just want to stop there, but thank you, everybody, for your role.
Next on our agenda is the consent agenda. Be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the February 26, 2024 consent agenda as presented. Matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine in nature by the Board of Education and will be acted upon by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items. If any member of the board or any citizen requests discussion of an item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will become the first item of business under the report of the superintendent portion of the agenda. A is the approval of the minutes of the Board of Education, February 12, 2024, regular board meeting, February 12, 2024, special meeting. B, approval of the personnel actions as submitted by Human Resources Director Kevin Brock. Employment of Christopher Brown, Hill Creek Elementary custodian. Belinda Hunter, Wick Elementary Special Education paraprofessional. And Kyra Lee, GSRP, third person.
Support.
Have a motion by Wester, supported by Kennard. Any discussion?
Madam President, the bills for payment are not in here. I know it had come up a couple meetings ago that it was in, we didn't have them at one meeting, and then they came up at the next, and board members had requested that we continue and get them in each board meeting packet, and it was stated that we would have that. Unless the Finance Committee has.
Pardon me.
Well,
You got it, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was meant, the Finance Committee had a meeting. We were going to have that for discussion under the finance report, under the Finance Board Committee reports.
Thank you.
Yeah, we
Okay.
want her to. yeah, so-
Wester? Yes. Kennard?
Yes.
Laster?
Yes.
Piles, yes. Motion carries.
Excuse me. Good evening. I'll be real brief here. Just want to remind everyone that kindergarten roundup, no, I didn't. Kindergarten festival went back to a different district. I apologize. Kindergarten festival is this week. Very excited about that. If you can just drop by for 5-10 minutes. People know who you are. Just drop by. We'd love to see you support it. Just come on in if you can. We've well planned for that. So this is the first one, and we also have one in the spring. So we wanted to hit parents early now, and those that can't make it potentially can come in the spring. And once I get those dates, I'll give them to you. But if you can just stop by, that would be great. Tomorrow, 6 to 8 o'clock, I sent out an email this morning, but also 6 to 8, I don't remember which schools, what. Tomorrow, because of voting, it's a little bit impacted it. Yeah, because of a polling site. So if you can just stop by, that would be great. Wanted to also say that I did report card data. I'll share that with you. I wanted to see who's giving what kind of grades to whom. So I have it. I will share it, but I ask that confidentially you do not put that out. That's my job to address some of the things that I see. I will certainly take things that if you want to let me know, I promise you I'm on it. But it's just something that I wanted to see. I disaggregated it by, I had Scott, not I, but I told Scott what I wanted. So it's disaggregated by race. It's disaggregated by teacher name. And you'll get to see the distribution of A's, B's, C's, D's, and E's. Also, I found out, I didn't know this, okay? I'm still relatively new here, but we're trying to have some consistency in our grading policies, particularly at the high school. We're on that, so that'll be coming out. The recommendation will be coming to me soon, but I've been there talking to staff and watching the process as Dr. Gardner's been helping facilitate that. That's coming next. But we also have an elementary school. I did not know that. That doesn't give grades 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. They give standard-based grading. So I found that out today. I didn't know it. Now I do. Did they meet the standard? Did they meet the standard that is expected at that particular fall, spring, winter? But I'm going to address that because I want all the students need to have the same experience. But I'm going to address that. But I just want you to know, I do what I said I'm going to do. And I wanted to get the report card information. I just got it today, so I need a little bit of time to look at it. I will give it to you, but again, I'm asking you confidentially. I mean, you could get it anyway if you really asked, because it's something that if I give a grade, I'm going to stand behind it, me. Okay, but I just don't want teachers feeling like we're coming after them, or me in particular. But I'm going to address that. So I'll be passing that to you. I will get it to you by Friday. You'll get it. If you don't want it electronically, let me know, because it's a lot of graphs and things you need to see, and I like to see it like this. I don't like to see it on a computer. So for those of you that want it that way, I'll give it to you that way. So that is coming. I already thanked Scott Rourke. I'm going to thank my cabinet because I haven't done it in a while. And I say that I love coming to work every day. It's just fun, okay? Even though we have to problem solve and do all that, and sometimes take our lumps and bumps and bruises and all that, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I appreciate all of you so much. I said to Adam, and I'm going to say it again publicly, last week my father was here, and Adam and Eve sounds quite humorous, doesn't it, when you use it together. Eve was so accommodating to my father. Just thank you so much, okay? You all made such a great impression on him to be here. Adam, you made sure that everything was working. I mean, everything was seamless, and I appreciate that so much, and it's wonderful having you on board. I try to tell you as much as I can. I want to thank some of the board members that came. I appreciate it. I want to thank the board member that suggested it. Great experience, I think, for the people that were there, and I think a great experience for the kids that heard it and the adults. So I just want to thank you all for giving me that support, giving my father that support, and supporting the kids and hearing some of the things that they said. So just wanted to keep it brief and say thank you all, and that's it for my report today.
Dr. Edmondson?
Yes.
Was that videotaped?
Yes,
There's a video?
yes,
Yes.
yes.
'Cause I-
95
yeah,
views today. We were talking
Right.
about, we were talking about
It
it.
is?
It's on our, it's not on our website, though. It's on our YouTube. Our YouTube channel.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And you see that we have an action item because we have polling coming up, so. Oh, and then I'll talk about schools of choice. If you'd like me to, I can just briefly, before we get to it, the school of choice, we had Kathy Andrews. I had her do something different, which was to present, I wanted her to present to the board because we have different options. We needed to know what I wanted you to know what the options are, and I didn't want to assume that you did not. But we have some options in front of us. And my recommendation is that we actually consider going K-11, not 12, because 12 impacts your graduation rate can be really impacted. The only thing that we can use is discipline. Can't pull grades, but discipline will tell us a lot. However, once you get them, they're yours. So if somebody has great discipline and we get them and they're 2 years behind, they're still ours. So we still have to, but it's time to open up our district a little bit. I think we're trending in the right direction. I think that we're ready for it. And I would say K-11, and I asked Kathy what was her recommendation. She said K-11, no cap. Because if we get a cap, then things look a little bit different on how we would do that. If you have any questions, I know that we have an action item in front of you, but if you had any questions, particularly after that, I can answer them. But I tried to give you the information ahead of time so that you would be able to make a more informed choice. This year, we were K-9. So I'm suggesting that maybe next year we do K-11. But that's ultimately your decision. It was a recommendation that I asked Kathy, and she said, it's time. We are losing 2,100 kids in Romulus choicing out of our district, and we have 210, 220 kids choicing into our district. So my thing is, listen, I'd really like to just cut into the kids that are leaving here, not even choicing, just cutting into those who are going elsewhere. But this is an opportunity for us. Sports is a little bit different. If they choice in, there's MHAA, what is it? Well, yeah, thank you. I forgot the S. MHSAA. There's some criteria that they come in, they got to sit out. Okay, but if they live in Romulus, that's different. But if you choice in the Romulus and you're trying to come because you want to be a part of our wonderful girls basketball team, you have to sit out. But if you live in Romulus, you don't. So there's just a little bit of rules to it. But again, my recommendation would be let's try K-11, or we can go back to K-9, or if you want to do K-8, it's a decision that you all will make, and I will support it, and I will move it forward, whatever is selected.
Next on the agenda, we have the action item for the polling place agreement. Would someone like to read that? Recommended motion move that the Board of Education approves the 5-year polling place agreement with the City of Romulus number 24-024. The rationale is community relations. There are no budget implications. And in the board packet, there's polling place use of agreement. Support. We have a motion by Kennard, supported by Piles. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Kennard?
Yes.
Piles? Yes. Laster?
Yes.
Wester?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next action. I know. Next action item is going to be for school of choice. I move that the Board of Education approves the K through 11 grades for unlimited school of choice for the 24-25 school year. It's 24-25. Rationale is enrollment. Budget implications is all exhibits is the school of choice applications and questionnaire. Support. We have a motion by Wester, supported by Kennard. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I do have some questions. So, Dr. Edmondson, you said that we can inquire about discipline. And this is the form that we will be using that, as has a student been suspended or expelled from school in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Is the parent filling that out, or are we requesting that information from the school?
Oh, you request that information from the school.
Okay.
And hope that they give it to you. But we had that conversation today because I said, if we don't get it, I'm not taking them.
Right.
Not going to do that.
Because there will be some schools that reply and some that don't, but if, that's, yeah, okay.
Yes.
Thank you for your recommendation of unlimited K through 11, especially as we strive to become a destination district.
Roll call vote.
I have a question. On the form where it says the parent or guardian signature, is there any documentation in terms of if the person's other than the parent that the district follows? Is there a process in identifying if that person is actually the guardian of that
they do.
student?
Yeah, there's a process, and they have to provide that information for us.
Okay.
They have to, definitely.
I just wanted to make sure that was,
It's funny.
yeah,
Folks get funny, and
yeah, that's why I brought it up.
I'm on this one, believe that.
Okay.
Except in the case of a homeless
All right.
student.
So we do have a practice in place that's being followed.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions? Roll call vote.
Who made this? Wester,
Yes.
Laster,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Piles, yes, motion carries.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I have a question. What is the window that we are going to have our open enrollment for School of Choice?
Open enrollment will begin March 15th until September the 4th.
April 15th?
I mean,
April 15th?
she said March 15th through September 4th.
Where's that?
This is what Kathy gave to us.
Said it today?
Yeah, before she left.
Okay, so then we'll just have to change this
Right.
before it goes on the
Right.
website.
She said she was going to update it once we
Okay.
went through.
And I know we normally actually change that date to go through count day every year.
Right, you do your initial and then they ask
Yeah,
for
we
the
just-
extension, correct? Yeah. Next on the agenda is a report of subcommittees, board
Yep.
subcommittees.
We have another motion for MASB.
That falls under the report of the president.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Report of any subcommittees?
I guess the Finance Committee would go. Is Dr. Gessinger, if she's here? So the Finance Committee met about, okay, just in case there were some questions. The Finance Committee met, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, and we had a very productive meeting in terms of identifying things, moving forward with strategic planning, as well as some things that the board could be looking for from us moving forward with getting ahead of some of the questions pertaining to budgeting and in finance. We're looking at utilizing the calendar, which is under the Michigan Association of Administration, where superintendents have an agenda outlined by month, and along with that is information pertaining to where the board should be following along with it and those types of questions. We've looked at that in previous years, but we haven't really followed it. I think if we do that, it'll kind of curtail some of the questions pertaining at the board table about budget information and finance. Another thing that we looked at and we had in-depth conversation about was about the finance information that's presented to the board of the expenditures and expenses. We talked about the fact, the differences between receiving the information, and we can have a discussion now too, board, about receiving it at every board meeting versus receiving it every month, okay, on a monthly basis. Normally and typically in accounting and finance practice, you got a 30-day note, 60-day note, 90-day note, and 180. And so we are, and we're not looking at in terms of how it's making it easier for the organization, but what's best practice. So with best practices in reporting out expenditures, those expenditures have already been expended. Okay, that's the rationale. It's already expended, whether it's 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or a month. And so if there's anything in question, you still have a time frame where it's better for administration to be able to reconcile the account and looking at it more effectively if we would consider getting that information and making it time-consuming and cost factoring in terms of what they have to do, if we could receive that on a monthly basis versus every 2 weeks. And so the Finance Committee endorsed that. We're saying that it's is more practical, it's better best practice for us if we were to try to work with the administration in having that done and provide it to the board, because you're gonna have the same questions. You know, whether you got it every 2 weeks or every month. And so it's open for any board member to make a comment or not, but that was the gist of it after we reviewed and had great length of discussion on that information coming before the board.
To look at it as a full glance versus
Yes.
just 2 weeks, like,
partial.
oh, my Netflix came, because I had to look at it in a novice state, like, okay, because finance is not my thing. So I'm like, okay, well, my subscription comes out on the 15th and those things, and you're like, okay, I remember these bills, but basically getting everything where you can look at it in 30 days, I felt, I mean, it's for discussion, but we do endorse it as the finance subcommittee after looking at understanding the reasoning behind it. Because just being new, I'm sitting up here like, okay, and also learn that we kind of give permission to, I don't even know if it's giving permission. It's already spent. So really, what can we say? You spent $30 on Potbelly. You're not saying that that was what it is, but really the permission is already given to the finance department, not just pointing at Dr. Gistinger, and then we're just kind of overseeing, like, okay. But I think going this route too and just making sure questions are getting answered, we as a finance subcommittee can help move with the trust but verify, where we are given the information from our meetings and can hopefully stop some of the back and forth in explaining the reasoning why we're making decisions or supporting different decisions that we make. So I did feel like looking at it at a full glance was better than just that 2-week window, how we've been doing, so.
And then some of the invoicing in any accounting and accounts payable, it overlaps, you know, you know, the middle of the month to the end of the month, it overlaps. And so this will give you a whole picture instead of a partial picture. Thank you for that. So that's why it's not in the packet. Okay, and so we're endorsing it, but the board, you know, that's a decision. You know, we're saying that we're endorsing that recommendation. And it's up to the board if you guys are in compliance to it.
And I think the calendar will be a good thing because, you know, certain dates, it's not like it's hidden or it's just transparency. You know, April 15th, this date, we have to get to this kind of, whatever it is. And also we talked about, I don't know if I can say it, like working to build the budget as we go. And Dr. Gistinger can go into that more since that's her specialty, but we did endorse that as well.
I have a question. Talking about that calendar from MASA and finances. So one of the things that is on that calendar in February is to bring all contracts to the board for review, because if for budget reasons or for any other reason, notice needs to be given that the board is considering non-renewal, that has to take place before the end of March. So as we talk about following that calendar as it pertains to district finances, will that be happening?
The plan is for us to be more proactive in following. Okay, I can say that. So if that is something that's on that calendar, this is what, February now, that information should have been brought at this particular meeting. So I can say moving forward, we can consider, you know, following that practice. So I guess at the next meeting.
In March?
In March we'll have that, as a matter of fact, we should copy that and give that to every board member so that they can have that as well. Somebody take note. That we'll have that, or we'll have a link or something in the email where all board members should have that, and then we'll have that conversation again. We have another subcommittee meeting coming up in March. I think it's March. It's the 7th or 8th is coming up.
Yeah.
And so we'll have that discussion about the contracts, the contract information.
Thank you.
Thank you for that update. So now we move into the report of the board president. We do have an action item. This is our 2024 MASB Board of Directors election for we're Region 8. So there's 3 candidates. We have Melody Hines, Bridget McQuestion, and Evelyn Pridemore. I know Melanie is incumbent, so we have to choose who we would like to elect for that board.
I make a motion?
Right, but we need to decide on which board our incumbent.
So, yes, so I move that the Board of Education vote for Melody Hines for our region.
Yeah, Bridget, Bridget
is, yeah.
Quist, Quiston.
You told me.
Yeah, she is, but.
So you're suggesting that we do not go with the incumbent, we go with Melody Hines?
Melody, yes. And it's, I mean, we have three excellent candidates. Really, they are all involved in public education, but I know that Melody has put a lot of work into working on CTE development and creating pathways to opportunity for students, and she's a real, like, hit the ground running, and she works hard for board members and for students.
Can't finish reading the motion. Right before it.
Right before it.
Right there.
All right. So move that the Board of Education votes for Melody Hines for Region 8 in the 2024 MASB Board of Directors election.
Support. We have a motion by File, supported by Wester. Is there any discussion? Roll call vote.
Laster,
Yes.
Piles, yes. Kennard,
Yes.
Wester,
Yes.
motion carries.
How long was his term? I should have asked it, I'm sorry.
4 years, 2 years, I'm not sure. It must be 2, because we just did this in 2022.
So Region 8, ours is a 3-year term.
3?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
3-year term. I just want to thank everyone for coming out today. We had some wonderful presentations, the TLP team with our data, also our young people. I cannot say I am so proud to see those two young people come up here and speak eloquently, and to be able to go back to their cohorts to make those decisions, to be a part of the change and the process within the school. It is so good to see we have like I said, a 9th grader and a 10th grader. These are our babies. This is our future. We have a young lady here that was able to see what she could be doing in the next couple of years, to be that voice standing here to present. Yes, you can. You're smiling. I just want to say thank you to all the administration, the team, for all the hard work that you guys are doing around here. I really appreciate it. Eve, I take my hat off to you. You're keeping everything in order. My colleagues, we have been moving a district forward. We agree to disagree, and that's what we're supposed to do. And we're just here to move forward. Dr. E, appreciate your leadership, and look forward for us to move our district. Like I said, we are Eagles. I gotta say that for our Coach Paris, Eagle Nation, and so proud of our girl ladies basketball team for next week. March 4th, districts. I'm gonna go support our girls. We'll discuss that. You already have people that probably won't even be here. So we'll send out. That's not when it gets discussed. We can do that offline. Yep. It will be done tomorrow. Any other discussion? Anything? No. Trustee Laster.
The presentations were amazing. I love the students, because you ride past the high school and you're just like, oh, what kind of students do we have? And it's just a good representation of who's in there and who's representing the school. If I could go back, I would do student government. So it's just like nice to live through them, like, do it. But, and Dr. Edmondson, your father's presentation was amazing. That is such a blessing to have a dad his age with the right mind that can go back to what was going on. Like, I mean, I wish my grandpa was here, you know? It's just, I learned a lot. I went home and researched some of the stuff he spoke about. And even if I knew a little bit about Jim Crow and things, it was stuff that I didn't know that he brought up. So you may think you know everything, you don't know everything, and you can learn something. So it was a great presentation. Thank you, Eve. I mean, you just the GOAT. So you do it with ease, you do it with a smile. We ask for something, you're on it. And so thank you for everything that you do. Appreciate it.
Dr. Edmondson, I want to thank you for following through and getting that data and for looking at grades so that we are consistent across all of our elementary schools. And then also even with in our secondary levels to make sure that different teachers within the same content area have consistent grading so our students know what's expected, our staff does, and then desegregating it by subgroup so that we can look at that and not iron fist, but learn what we can do better for our students. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I just want to acknowledge Jason Perkins back there. He's the new guy here, and you've done a great job. You've come in here, you're doing it, you're watching, you're listening to people, and just even yesterday, contacting me on a Sunday, and us exchanging, and Mr. Brock gave me the information, all of us talking about what's going on, and we had Secretary Piles, who lives in that area, who was giving me information, and I'd share it with you and that kind of thing. But I appreciate what you bring to the district. I appreciate your leadership for sure, your expertise absolutely too. Of course, the rest of the team already speak highly of you. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to. You already know how I feel about you, but just appreciate you. But I really welcome to the team. It's great having you here and you moving us forward in a direction that we need to head, and with your expertise. So good luck on the RFPs.
Motion to adjourn. All in favor? 8:12.